Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday. It has been, yesterday was a day. My heart goes out to older sibling. She had the day of all days yesterday, but at the end of the day, sorry, it got worse. It got, oy, sorry. Anyway, I am excited I have enough hair to pile on the top of my head, but it is one of those days. It is going to be one of those days. So what I'm doing right now is I have nothing prepared for today. So I'm going to wait for a couple of people to come on, but we'll do the Aloha cards first, right? See what that brings up. But yeah, I may be alone today, so I don't know how long it'll last, but I will say this. Yesterday, older sibling lost, Aunt Joyce, we found out, passed away. And Aunt Joyce is the main reason we would always go to Colorado in September for her birthday. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to make it back the last 2 years. And so, so of course there's the guilt, the what ifs, all the things. But she passed away Monday. Good morning, Muddy. And yesterday was just not a magical day for her anyway. But yeah, so this really broke her. Older sibling comes from a very small family, and by small I mean her mother had one sister, and her father had one sister, and they're all gone now. And so, I know I'm supposed to be coming up with something to talk about, but I'm kind of at a loss. So if you guys have anything you want me to talk about right now, please just share it, because I am open for anything. But if you could send older sibling all the love, and the family. I'm heartbroken. I loved Aunt Joyce. I used to call her my Hawaiian princess because she loved that. She loved that I was Hawaiian. And there was a teeny mistake in my lineage. Turns out Ali'is, descendants possibly of them. But she she asked, we just kind of referred to each other as Hawaiian princess, and I love that. So, I'm just, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. I'm just a little, and I'm worried about sibling, and of course I'm not there, so. So the Aloha card was, eat dessert tonight, you deserve it. I think I'm just going to eat dessert all day. Like, totally just go out somewhere, buy a bunch of dessert, and just eat that all day. I'm going to eat my feelings today. And I have my coffee. Surprisingly, the glass didn't break. I don't think it's tempered or whatever they call it, so. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate that. Good morning, older sibling. She's on. I'm guessing she didn't sleep last night. But anyways, like I said, the shiny moment about today is I have enough hair to pile on the top of my head and look like I still have a lot of hair, so yay! But the downside is, what the hell are we going to talk about today? So, poor Sammy. Sammy's having some homework done on with the plumber, and he's ripping out her wall right now. So, so yeah, you know what? Let's just talk about whatever. Let's talk about grief, how we face it, how we don't face it. I know there are people in this world that just kind of ignore it, and they try to push it down, they try to shove it down. That whatever works for you, that's fine. However, that's a temporary solution. And the reason I say that is because I have read enough books, I've been through enough therapy, I have gone through enough experiences with my own experiences and, older siblings, because I was very close to her family, to realize that it does come in waves. Older sibling and I talked about that yesterday. But when you are very close to someone, especially whether it's a parent or a sibling or a grandparent, someone immediate in your family, or even a best friend, it's not something that's going to go away. It is something that is going to stay with you. You will learn how to live with it. But it won't go away. You can try to shove it down. You can try to push it down. You know, you'll even heal it. You will probably, potentially, because everybody's different, heal it over time. But it's never going to go away, even when it's healed. When it's healed, it just means, in my, okay, so this is my perspective, because this is what I went through, because I am not a person that feels like, well, I had a time limit and I shouldn't be grieving anymore. But then after my mom died, I was like, you know what? I realize now, after I healed, it was just, I became less worried about what other people thought. If I started talking about my mom and I laughed, it was okay. If I started talking about Sissy or my mom and, you know, I started to well up a little bit, it was okay. It didn't matter. You have emotions, you have tear ducts, and you're allowed to use them, and it's okay. See, people will sit there and say, oh, well, if you cry, you're not strong, or you need to move past it, or you need to get over it, or this isn't what your parent would want, or, you know, this isn't what your loved one would want, or, oh, your loved one's in a better place. And every person who's ever been said that to, whether you were religious or not, even if you might respond kindly, you're saying in your head, yeah, but the better place is here with me, not somewhere else. And if you're not religious, and someone religious says this to you, it strikes even harder. The day my mother died, I was given the task of calling her best friend since childhood, and I got a whole religious lecture for like 45 minutes. My dad and I were getting ready to meet some family after they came to take my mom. And because I knew he needed to get out of the house, and he was my priority that day, because this was the love of his life. And she was gone. You know, my dad always says it. My dad always says, I thought I'd be the first to go. And, you know, so he was kind of left carrying the bag. He was left holding the bag. But then he comes in the room. He's like, you're still on the phone. I'm like, yes, I'm getting a whole, you know, I won't mention the religion. And she's not Catholic. She might have been when they were little, but she was not Catholic. But yeah, I got a whole lecture. This particular religion is the reason my father's an atheist. So, yeah. So anyways, I think, you know, and in any situation we're in, we feel like we're not allowed to cry. Older sibling, who I know is on right now, is famous for this. Well, I don't want to cry because no, you know, I shouldn't be crying over this. It's dumb. It's stupid. She'll say all these things. And it's like, you have tear ducts. Okay. It's like, and then you sit there and tell her, well, what would you say if it were me? Well, that's different. That's different. But think about it. Okay. Oh yeah, and Sammy says it too. Exactly. I know it supposedly comes from a good place, but you should never come off with the better place platitudes when someone is grieving. I agree. Oh, I hate that. I'm not sure if my mom did that. My mom might have, because she was very, very Catholic. But good morning, baby bear. So, you came in during the solemn subject. We're talking about grieving today. Yesterday, a very, very important person in my Hanai family and older siblings family, her aunt, her last living aunt, passed away this week. And like I said, it's hitting both of us sideways. Well, it hit me sideways and it pretty much upended her, you know? This is what I really have to say about grieving. Move through it. Don't move around it. Don't try to jump over it. Don't try to hurdle it. All right. Don't try to run through it so fast that, you know, because grieving is, you know, depending on the relationship with this person, grieving can be a lifelong process. And it's because, imagine, you know, we always think, well, I don't understand why this still bothers me. And one of the most profound things I read after my mom died, thank you, baby bear. One of the most profound things I read after my mom died. I'm going to get this quote wrong, and I don't intend to, but, you know, it was basically talking about how lucky we are to have loved somebody so much that making, you know, that saying goodbye makes it so much harder. You know, it was, gosh, what was it? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, searching. Da, 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 da. Well, here's one. I'm trying to find it. I'm sorry. I know. It's like you're like, hello, we're talking to you. Let's see. Grieving quote. This is real time, folks. So, let's see. Grieving quote about loss and love. Well, here's one. Grief is the last act of love we can give if we lose a loved one. Where there is deep grief, there was great love. So Sammy says, I was just getting ready to say that when we love people, we can't just shut that off because they are no longer on this plane. We will always still love and miss them. Grief can change, but it never leaves. Exactly. Grief can change, but it never leaves. So I will tell you, this is one thing I absolutely 100% despise, is when people say that you need to get over it and, crying is a weakness. Fuck that. All right. Excuse my language, but that's how I'm going to drive that home. Crying is your right. All right. Doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less stronger than anybody else. I think it actually takes more strength to cry because you're going to get some kind of feedback. Or you're going to get that pity party, and it's nothing that you want. That's why I think a lot of people actually go and hide when they cry, because they don't want the pity party. Now, I admit, when I see someone crying, I do go into uh-oh mode, like, how can I help you? What can I do? And I might send them the pity, and I need to be better at that. As I talk about it, I think about it, and I'm trying to, and it's like, I need to be better at that. But I also try to encourage people to just cry, to move through the feelings. And Sibling said it yesterday when I was talking to her last night before we went to bed. I gave her a call and I said, how are you holding up? How are you doing? And she's all, it's just, 1 minute she seems okay. We were joking about some stuff about Aunt Joyce. We were talking about like how all these random memories of just silly things about older siblings' hair kept coming up. So Sammy says, preach. Crying is a good thing. It helps us release those feelings. Exactly. Look, I get that tear ducts are there to kind of keep your eyes moist and to keep everything kind of flowing and blah, 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 and clean out all the crap that gets in there. But if you weren't meant to use them when you cry, they wouldn't leak when you do. Right? Right. So there you go. Biology 101. Straight up Biology 101. I don't mean to be very passionate about this, but it does drive me nuts because, or the people that say, well, or people that say, well, you should be over it by now. I got over it a long time ago. And no, you didn't. You pushed it down, and it comes out in different ways. It either comes out at you lashing at somebody, or it comes out in, crankiness, or it comes out in, you hiding in a corner crying because you didn't want to deal. You thought that the best way to do it was to just push it down. But here's the thing. When it comes to those people who just push it down, we can't necessarily blame them. We can't blame them for saying you need to move past it and you need to do what I do and just push it down and get rid of it. Well, when you push it down, you're not getting rid of it, right? It's like a jack in the box. When you push it back in the box, you keep winding that thing, it's going to pop back up, right? And you never know when it's going to do it. That's why whenever we play with a jack in the box, we all jump. Or why we see one in a movie, right? In those horror movies where it's slowly cranking and it's like this 6 foot tall, scary ass clown comes out. And it's because we don't know when it's going to come up. We're all a bunch of jack in the boxes. And we can either be wound and we're already out of the box, or we can be wound and wound and wound until it gets to the point where we're popping up and we're, just to somebody else. So, Yeah, that's true. I know, older sibling, but um, Sammy, I hate those evil Jack in the Boxes. You know, I do too. I do too. I mean, this was me as a kid, like you just get until you're like this, and you don't even see it pop out because it just scares the shit out of you. But okay, so older sibling has a point, yeah. But for someone with COPD, you can't breathe later. I understand that, but it's still something you need to move through. It's something that you can't just hold back because huffling is not going to help you either. And God did create the people who created inhalers. You got to use your inhaler, honey bunny. But I know. Sammy, someone gave me one when I was a kid and it scared the crap out of me. I am grateful my parents never gave me one. I'm grateful nobody ever gave me one. The ones I would play with, oh, maybe I did have. I don't think I had one. I don't know. But I remember playing with somebody's and I don't think it was mine. And it was just because, it's always that trick, right? The older kids do, here, play with this. And it's like, and then you're like running out of the room crying because, you've just been traumatized for the rest of your life by a jack in a box with a clown in it. Maybe that's why I don't like clowns. I'm still trying to figure out the root of my clown fear. And I do better with it. But the funny thing is, scary clowns don't scare me. Regular clowns scare me. I know, and I think it's just because I expect scary clowns to be scary. But, like Pennywise does not scare me. And, but regular clowns, But yeah, we're talking, so anyways, for anyone that might be joining us, we're just kind of freewheeling here. Yeah, see, it's always a damn clown. But yeah, we're just kind of freewheeling here. We're talking about grief. We're going in and out of it. But what I was circling back, what I was going to say is those people that tell us to push it down and just deal with it, we can't really blame them because that's the generation they came from. So that's the cycle we have to break. We have to break that cycle that having emotions is bad or having emotions is weak. Having emotions is not weak. All right. Now, people will sit there and go, well, what did your therapist tell you that? Actually, they did. But they told me that, and I said, I don't know. But I figured it out on my own. Once I healed the grief over my mom and Sissy Joe, and I don't mean healed it like it went away. Basically, when I say that you're healing grief, it means you are embracing it. You are accepting it for what it is. You are accepting the fact that sometimes these memories are going to pop up and either make you laugh, just maybe do nothing, just be a one-off memory, and then you move to the next conversation, or it might make you well up, or it might make you just bawl your eyes out. You don't know, because that's what grief is. And whenever this happens to me, whenever this comes up, whenever this feels like, it's about to become like a mess, I just try to remind myself that, yeah, I'm crying tears. Yeah, I miss this person immensely. But how grateful I am to have had them in my life. No matter how long it was, no matter how long the time, how short the time, how grateful I am to have had that person. I miss my mom every day. My mom died 4 months before my 4 months before my 42nd birthday. And I always thought, wow, she's going to be here for so much stuff. I'll have both my parents, all the fantasies when you do amazing things, right? And both your parents are standing there and, and all of a sudden that daydream changed and she was gone. She wasn't in it anymore. She was more like that little silhouette figure, right? That little, like in Return of the Jedi when they show Yoda, Darth Vader, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Anakin Skywalker as, Anakin, not Darth Vader. And they're just standing there in ghost form, right? And I'm talking about the original, not the one that they digitally manipulated after the prequels came out. I mean the original, right? And you're just sitting there and you're like, and that's how it feels sometimes. And I take comfort in knowing my beliefs and knowing that there is, for me, I don't want to push my beliefs on anybody, but I do believe there is a veil side. You can call it heaven, you can call it the other side, you can call it the other place, whatever you want to call it. But even the other day, my window was closed, the heater was on, and I was on the phone with older sibling, and my mom just came through so strong. Maybe, older sibling, Maybe that's what it was. She was trying to tell me about Aunt Joyce before you found out. Because, I mean, my mom was coming in hard and strong, and it was cold. It was cold, but it was only cold on one side of my body. And older sibling and I were giggling about it. But, you know, maybe that's what, you know, sorry, freewheeling again. Just, but those are my beliefs. And like I said, I'm not trying to push my beliefs on anybody. And you are welcome to believe whatever you want to believe. I think the way we have approached grief for a lot of these years is, oh, wow. Sorry, guys. I just realized my keyboard that older sibling bought me, one of those really cool old looking fashion, the little knobs on the side actually do stuff. I'm so sorry. It's like I was just playing with it because I'm getting fidgety, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at that. That's the volume. But anyways, I do think that the way we approach grief, you know, is important to how we move forward. Like I said, and really this is grief in any situation, whether it's grief over a lost job, a lost relationship, a lost loved one, or, you know, and when I say loved one, I mean across the board, whether it, you know, if somebody's death affected you this much or that much, that's a loved one, whether it's a friend, a best friend, a coworker, whichever, you know, to me, those are people that you loved. Those are people that you cared about, that you had a very good relationship with. And, you know, I've seen people who did not have good relationships with people, and when those people died, it was just kind of a one-off, you know, like, well, you know, that's sad. But, and, you know, and it does, it hurts other people. I mean, not what you're saying, but, you know, other people might be grieving, and they might be wondering why you're not. And it could just be because you did not have the same relationship. And that's okay. We can't expect other people to feel the same way we do. Everybody's going to react to things differently. You know, I mean, I think my healthy belief in the other side is helping me process Aunt Joyce being gone. But it doesn't help older sibling. And so I try to hold back with that. I try to just keep that to myself, you know. I mean, if she asks me to ask something, I'll ask. I don't know if I'll get anything right away, but if I do, I will let her know. And, you know, I mean, like I said, I'm not hiding my gifts anymore. I'm not gonna, you know, just put them, you know, in the back of my brain when they just manage to pop out like this from time to time because, you know, so other people feel better. You don't have to believe in what I believe in. You don't have to believe in the things that I can do. You don't have to believe in the things other people can do. But you also don't have to make comments about it and, you know, just say, yeah, that's bullshit. That maybe to you it is. But I know what I'm capable of. And I'm tired of doubting it. I'm tired of, you know, hiding it. We all have special superpowers, if you will. We talked about this yesterday with the, you know, with the card. Do I know all my strengths and am I using them? And I think it's important to know what our strengths are and to use them. But I think, you know, the other hard part, circling back into grief, is that, you know, everyone's going to deal with it differently. And I think the best way to approach the situation, if you find yourself on the other end, you know, you have someone who is grieving before you, or someone who, I mean, like in front of you, or someone who is, you know, hurting. I think just be compassionate. Just show empathy. It's like Sammy said, we don't need the platitudes. People don't need the platitudes. They don't need, oh, they're in a better place. You may think they're in a better place. They may actually be in a better place than where they were. My mother had cancer. She was definitely in a better place after she passed. But that's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear, oh, hey, you got your miracle, your mom's cured. And that didn't happen. That wasn't going to happen. Not with pancreatic cancer. You know, that would have taken like a Christmas wish, a miracle, and some kind of, you know, like life-altering, spin the world the other way like Superman did to bring Lois Lane back to life kind of magic. And it was just her time. And that's the other one that is the other one. Well, it was their time. You know, everything happens for a reason. Yes, we know it was their time. Yes, we know they're probably in a better place. Yes, we know that everything happens for a reason. But right now, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. Let us grieve. Let us grieve. Or now they're with their loved ones again. Platitudes. These are platitudes. These are platitudes people don't need to hear. Okay? You know, maybe some people do. Actually, I shouldn't say people don't need to hear. Some people might want to hear it. Some people may need to hear it. But I think what you need to do before just opening your mouth, and not you specifically, but I think what people need to do before opening our mouths is just to kind of, you know, gauge the situation. You know, just kind of see what page you need to be on. For me, I always tell people, I don't have the words that you probably need to feel better. You know, and down the road, I've had people ask me, does it ever stop hurting? And I said, no. I said, the grief will never go away, but you will learn to live with it. And when you learn to live with it, the pain becomes bearable. The pain becomes manageable. Because, like I was saying earlier, when I finally healed my grief with my friend that passed away, with Sissy Joe, with Mom, Mama was the hardest, obviously, because she was my mother. But when I finally accepted the fact that they were gone years and years later, I mean, almost, well, for one, a decade later, and the other 9 years later, because this is very new for me. It was only been in the last year that I really kind of accepted the fact that they're gone. And I know they're gone. But that I just decided, you know what? Instead of fighting my grief, I'm going to become friends with it. I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to accept it for what it is. I'm not weak. I'm strong. I'm strong for having the courage to show my emotions when they come up. I can't help it when it comes up. It just does. And I might say, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I didn't think that. And I think it's always the same. And it's the truth. I didn't think it would hit me that way. And I'm not sure that's ever going to change, because sometimes we always think we know how the emotion's going to hit us. And we don't. It might make us laugh. It might make us cry. It might make us do both at the same time. Like, oh my God, that's so funny. But, oh, you know. And it's okay. It is okay. It's okay to have emotions. But here's the thing that I think is very important. Don't lose yourself to the grief. Okay? And by that I mean, I lost myself in the grief of my mother, and I spiraled. And I thought I kept coming out of these spirals. And honestly, I think the spiral became so normal. It was part of my chaos, my chaos that I was living in. And I succumbed to the grief. And I don't mean I embraced it and learned to accept it. I mean, I let it take over my life. I let it, I already have a mental health issue, all right? I already have major depressive disorder. That, when Mom passed away, and then Sissy passed away 10 months later, and then my friend passed away just over a year later, that was done. Excuse me. I was legit done. And I didn't think I'd recover. And I almost didn't. And I'm being honest when I say that. When I say I succumbed to my grief, I almost literally succumbed to my grief. And 3 very brave people who knew what was going on in my life, because I can become very closed off. Excuse me, I can become very shut down. This is before I became a mental health advocate. 3 different people on the same day all texted me, you need to go to therapy. Actually, 2 of them said, I think it would be a good idea. And the 3rd person was like, you really need this. You really need this. It helped me through the grief of losing my mother. You really need this. And it was not something that I thought I needed or I thought I wanted, and it was my life-changing moment. But this isn't about telling you to go to therapy. This is about telling you that, grief is difficult. And grief, it kind of, as much as people hate this phrase, it is what it is. It is what it is. And we need to break these generational cycles of push it down and let it go. Because, like I said, no matter what you go through in life, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether you're grieving something, whether it's depression, whether, it's just some version of everything all molded into one, when you try to push it down, it is that jack-in-a-box. And, the life is just going to keep cranking that and cranking it and cranking it until poof, it pops out of the box. And, we all know you can put things back in the box, right? You can close that box, shove the clown back down in, but it doesn't remove how much it scared the shit out of you or how much it hurt somebody else. When we lash out because we don't know how to embrace our feelings, to accept our feelings, to deal with our feelings, we can hurt other people. I know a lot of people don't like the term hurt people. So it's hurt people, hurt people. But it's the truth. I have been a person who has, been a hurt person who hurt others. Not intentionally. But I share that, and it's that black mark. But I share that openly because I want people to know that you're human. We are going to, maybe say the wrong thing. We are going to maybe do the wrong thing. We are going to sometimes be that hurt person that hurts somebody else. But that doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person that needs to heal, or that needs to come to terms with whatever it is that is causing this angst, anxiety, stress, whatever, that lashes out at other people. My journey took far too long because I procrastinated through it, because I was comfortable in the chaos, because I let fear take over my life. My mom's words to me when we sat down and had my cousin who had lost her father, a couple years earlier, had said to me, sit down with your mom and make sure you have the talk to just, the talk to end all talks. And my mom and I talked for like 2 hours. It was the middle of the night. Everybody was asleep. And we just sat there, and I said, cousin so-and-so said that, we should sit and have the talk to end all talks. And we talked, and I asked her, and I said, and I asked her questions. I said, are you afraid? And she's all, I am, but I'm also looking forward to the next, to the next journey. And it was so profound, because here was somebody who was facing her death, and she knew it because she stopped her treatments. She's like, nope. She's all, I'm not going to live like this for the next, just to get 6 months to 2 years out of this. So, she's like, no. And, she did. But one of the things she told me in that conversation, which was very profound for me, is she's all, I need you to be strong, because I'm not going to be here to be strong for you anymore. And, I sat there and I'm thinking to myself, I'm strong. Yeah, I am. But I just said, okay. It took me years to understand what she meant, because I did. I hid behind my parents' strength. I hid behind my mother's strength. Whenever something would fall apart, ring, ring. But I didn't have the ring, ring anymore. I didn't have that. I didn't have the person that says, well, I'll pray it out for you. And I realized, I'm on my own. And that's when I realized that's where my strength came from. Strength isn't about being able to lift, a car with your bare hand, with one hand. All right. Strength is that thing inside of us. It's your heart beating at full capacity. And I don't mean physically beating. I mean just beating with every intention, breathing with every dedication, with every ounce of your fiber of your being, and saying, we've got this. Even when it feels like we don't. If you have no other strength than to get out of bed in the morning and just walk across the room to your desk and sit down and maybe journal, maybe read a book, maybe do something, that takes strength. Now, my mom was talking about a different kind of strength. You know, my mom and I had very different issues, or varying degrees of understanding of mental health. She kind of brushed mine under the rug, and that was one of the other reasons that it took me a while, because I looked to her to be my pillar of strength. You know, as long as mom was around, everything would be okay. As long as dad was around, everything was going to be okay. And because of that, and being an only child, and having this, you know, exceptionally close relationship with my parents, you know, like, they're my shield, they're my fortress. They were my fortress when bad things were happening to me as a kid, and I didn't have to say anything. I could keep it a secret because with them I was safe. And it took me a long time to realize I am the strength. Just like every single one of you are. Whether you're grieving, whether you're angry over something, whether something has upended you, whether something has made you feel like, you know, you're just crappy, and, you know, this, you know, why is it that a bad thing happens to me and I'm the only one that's not gonna, you know, benefit from this, and all these different pity party things. And, you know, pity parties aren't bad. I told you, I'm gonna eat my feelings today. Now that I've said that, I probably won't, but at some point I probably will be. But, and I'm not going to shame myself for it, because that's something we need to stop doing. We need to stop shaming ourselves for having feelings. We need to stop shaming ourselves for, you know, loving somebody who's gone now. Aunt Joyce will be very missed. You know, I used to joke with her and call her the mayor of her town, because, I mean, she would walk up and down. We're walking up and down the street with her. Hey, so-and-so. Hey, so-and-so. And I'm like, what are you, the mayor? You know, she just started laughing. She's all, I could be the unofficial mayor. And I loved it. She just, everything I say to her, she'd just embrace it. You're my Hawaiian princess. Oh, I love it. I got to remember to tell the people at the, you know, at the building, this, you know, that I'm a Hawaiian princess. And, you know, these are memories that we're going to have to hold, because we don't have her to hold anymore. And, you know, don't force yourself out of your feelings. Don't force yourself out of your grief. Whenever we have grief, we need to move through it. It will heal itself over time. And again, I'm going to stress this. When I say heal itself, it means you are going to be in a place where it hurts, it brings joy, or it might bring a bit of bittersweet, you know, feelings to you. But it'll be something that you look back and say, I am grateful I have that memory. Whether it's making me angry, whether it's making me sad. But please, the one thing I really want to stress is, do not feel guilt. Do not feel guilt. I felt guilty after my mom died. You know, it's like, what could I have done? Could I have done more? You know, I've been told I have this gift. Why couldn't it work? And people had to keep telling me, because it was her time. And that's not the thing you want to hear, but that's the thing that we have to reconcile in our mind. It was her time. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I'd be the person I am today in this moment right now if my mom was still here. And that's because I used her passing as kind of the you know, that pistol at the beginning of a race to say, hey, you know what? Your mom told you all this stuff. This is stuff you need to do now. Okay? Would I still rather have her here? Yes. And been able to heal? Yes. I do think I would have healed over time, to be honest with you, because I did change. But a lot of me changed over the last 10 years since she passed, or the last 9 years, really, since she passed away. You know, it took me a couple of years to really move hardcore through that grief. And it's that double-edged sword. You rather have them here, but you also realize how much their death changed you. And, you know, I wasn't going to let it change me for the worse. I was determined to make it change me for the better, because this woman took the time to answer questions while she's in pain, while she's lying there, while she's tired. And she also took the time to remind me, you are my daughter. I don't give birth to weak babies. And she reminded me, you survived heart surgery. You survived all this stuff. She's all, you have a strength in you that you don't realize you have. And I just kind of, you know, because I'm like, no, you're my strength. And now that I hear these words again, it does. It makes me very emotional. Because I think that's all anybody ever wants for us, is for us to live, you know, the life that they want us to live, to be happy, to find joy, to know that, you know, loss is a part of life. It doesn't mean we have to like it. It doesn't mean we have to be okay with it. But eventually we do need to heal it. We need to move through it. And, you know, just to reiterate one more time, healing grief doesn't mean you get over it. It means you have learned how to live with this particular grief. It means that, you know, it is no longer your identity. It is you going and having these memories, these beautiful memories that make you laugh, cry, both, whatever. Angry sometimes. Sometimes I still get angry. You know, and it's just like, why? But, you know, those are the answers we're never going to get. You're never going to get an answer to your why. I'll never understand why this happened to my mom. And it was like that. Like I said, it was just under 4 months from the time she was officially diagnosed to the day she passed. You know, last week, older sibling, or last week or the week before, older sibling was talking with Aunt Joyce. Absolutely fine. But, you know, if you don't mind me sharing, older sibling, you know, she was talking to her cousins and they're all, we think she had an inkling. We think she had an inkling. Because there were little things that she was doing that just made us think, you know, when she passed, that Mom had an inkling. And Aunt Joyce was, you know, she was a pistol. She was a pistol. God. I'm grateful that this family embraced me. You know, I mean, you guys know I come from a huge family. But I am grateful that her family embraced me. And, you know, I love that I had the opportunity to call her Aunt Joyce, because I'll bring it up on another show with older sibling and her refusal to use the word aunt or uncle. It's actually a really funny story, but I was like, girl, you would never have survived in my culture, because everybody is auntie and uncle. Everybody's hanai. I mean, I was in my teens when I found out that some of the people that I call auntie and uncle weren't even related. It's like, wait, what? But that's, you know, it's the Hawaiian culture. Or, you know, actually it's a lot of different cultures, to be honest with you. But, you know, I recognize that now, that a lot of cultures do the same thing. But in the South, right, it's Mr. or Mr., you know, first name, like Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, you know. So, you know, we all have our thing. But just remember, you are allowed to have emotions. You were allowed to feel. And if somebody tries to tell you, well, you can't do that, you need to be stronger, you can tell them, you can hit the bricks. All right, go pound sand, son, miss, whatever. Because or just tell them, you can politely just say, you know what? I am allowed to express my feelings, my emotions. You know, and in this moment, I'm having them. So, oh, Sammy says, we do the auntie thing too, or at least we did when I was little. Now, is it auntie or auntie in the South? I'm just curious. But, just so curious. But anyways, all right. I've been rambling for far too long. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves, okay? I know the holidays can be very difficult, especially when you lose family, especially when you lose family right before the holidays. But just remember that quote. I wish I could find it. The quotes that, you know, it just said how, oh, wait, I've got to find it. Come on, someone help me out here. It was something like, you know, how grateful I am to have had someone that I loved so much that saying goodbye is so hard, or something like that. Shoot, if I can find it, I'll put it in the comments on Facebook. All right, it's just a little hard because my my camera is on my computer, so I can't really see what it is I'm looking for. So I will put it in the comments, because I have, you know, I have the majority of it in my head. So, oh, thank you, Sammy. She said, see, you have a wonderful show in you for today, despite the sadness. Thank you. And, oh, thank you, Baby Bear. Baby Bear knows what I'm talking about. I know, because I think, yeah, So anyways, oh, look, there's a crow. Someone's saying hello. So anyways, yes, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Like I said, I know the holidays can be hard, especially with loss of loved ones, loss of anything, relationships, jobs, family, friends, all that stuff. It can be difficult. So just, you know, do your best to chin up, all right? Move through the emotions the way you need to move through them. But please, just again, do not succumb to them. Do not, you know, if you need to talk to somebody, reach out to somebody. Truly. If you know, there's the hotline. Oh God, is it 811? I'll look it up too, but there is a hotline. All right, there is a hotline if you are feeling a little bit on the edge. So thank you, Baby Bear. I hope you have a great day too. So all right, everybody, I will see you back here Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelley Marie Lucas. You can find me across the social media board. Everything on the social media board begins with YouTube. All right, it starts at Facebook. It is born on Facebook Live, and then it is birthed on YouTube and spreads its seed across the social media. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Older sibling, I'm sending love, 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 love to you. Baby Bear, Sammy, there was a fourth person on that I can't see, and I'm sorry, but I'm sending you love as well. So have a safe and wonderful weekend, everybody. Everybody watching this later, same to you. Sending love, wonderful weekend, and please be safe. I will see you on Monday.